Hey everybody, just going to begin in a moment. Okay, hope you are having an amazing day. Today is the fourth day of Hanukkah. Tonight is the fifth night of Hanukkah, which means that we're halfway through this special holiday. Hey, how are you, Natalie? Hello. Uh, Vic, how are you guys doing? I hope you are all doing well. Wishing you all a happy Hanukkah, a Hanukkah Sameach, as we say. This week's Torah reading is Parshat Miketz. You are joining me for Oxygen for the Soul, and which is a quick look at some ideas on this week's Torah reading, this week's Parsha. Parshat Miketz begins with, in the middle of the story, Joseph has been locked up in jail for 2 years, 2 more years, and now he's interpreted the dream of the Sar HaMashkim, the butler, and he is getting ready and prepared to meet with Pharaoh. The Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, has a dream of his own, and he's looking for interpretation. And this is how the verse begins. It says, "V'hi miketz shnatayim yamim." It was at the end of 2 years. Okay, shnatayim yamim, of 2 years of days. Uparo cholam, and Paro has dreaming. V'hinei omed al ya'ar, and he was standing on the river. Now, very interesting beginning, very interesting, a couple of words over here. And the reason why it is so interesting is because remember that every time we have a particular sentence that is structured in a particular kind of way, it's there to teach us something unique. Okay, so Vayhi Miketz Shnatayim Yamim. It was at the end of 2 years of days. What does that even mean? Like, how is that even how does that even make sense? So let's double click on the word Shanatayim. The word Shanatayim could also come from the word Shana, Shena, right? Or sleep. So there are some people that are what we call living. There are some people who are living and who are involved in doing amazing things, and they make every single moment of life count. And there are other kinds of people who they're sleeping through their lives. They're not really taking the moments they have in life seriously. They're rushing through things. They're not spending time clarifying what their aim and goal is. They're just clumsily walking through life. And I think that this is an unfortunate reality where way too many people get lost on the superficial and not on the meaning and the depth of life. There was actually recently an article that spoke about how something like there's been an 800 or a 900 increase in plastic surgery over the last 12 months. Now, obviously, I'm not having a conversation whether or not plastic surgery is a good thing or a bad thing, obviously, but the fact that there's so many people who are unhappy with their own look, so they're willing to go ahead and take a knife to redesign themselves, is very telling of our society. Why is this happening? It's happening because the last year people were stuck on a Zoom or on a FaceTime where you have another screen where you get to see yourself back. Metaverse is definitely part of it, and you get this thing called body dysmorphia where you're unhappy with your face and your looks, and people are just editing themselves nonstop. And I think that we have a reality that when we're so disconnected from what is real, we start creating a fictitious belief. So we live in a dream state. And I think that's what we're talking about over here. Paro, the king of Egypt, is not someone who's living in a reality. He's living in a dream world. Paro is in this state where he's sleeping. He's sleeping for days, right? And he's dreaming. And he has this dream over here. It was Benjamin Franklin who said that most people die on their 25th birthday, but they're only buried when they're 75. Well, what does that mean? How do you die on your So most people die on their 25th birthday and they only bury them when they're 75. How does that work? See, most people stop trying after 25. They've bought into a particular vision of themselves. They've bought into a particular, idea of who they are, and they're stuck. They can't change. So we die inside, exactly. We die inside, and we are unable to break free. So you're part of what we call the walking dead. There are people who are living today who just live for the day and have no dreams, no ambitions, no nothing. That is not considered living at all. So Paro's dreams are interpreted by Joseph. And Joseph is finally promoted to this high level of being the viceroy. Okay, the second in command. There's two parts here that I want to kind of like double click, speak a little bit about Hanukkah. And Natalie, I'd love to hear more about it. But I want to go to this part over here. So Joseph finally is out of prison. He's away from his family for 22 years. He's living in Egypt, which was one of the most decadent societies at the time. And yet he's trying to figure out a way of maintaining his identity as a Jew, maintaining his connection to his faith, and so on and so forth. But he ends up getting married, and he has two children. Vikra Yosef. It says like this. It says, Uli Yosef yulad shnei banim. And for Joseph now he had two sons. Okay, B'terem tavo shanat harav. The years that preceded the famine. Asher yelda lo, that she bore him Osnat bat Potifera Kohen On. He marries Osnat Potifar. He marries his niece, actually, who is the daughter of Dinah from the rape from Shechem ben Hamor, and they are sent to Potiphar. They adapt and they can't have a child. So he ends up marrying a Jewish girl named Osnat. They have two children. V'yikra Yosef et Shem HaBachor Menashe. The name of the first son is called Menashe. Why? Ki nashani Elokim, because God made him forget. Et kol amolai et kol beit avi. He made him forget the hardship and all the household of his father. How painful of a name is that? He called his son, his firstborn son, right, Menashe, to remind him that he was able to move away from the pain. He wasn't holding on to the pain anymore. He's moved on from the pain. He's found enough love, enough hope in reality, enough faith in humanity to just let go of the world of pain that he came from and moved on. His second son, Vetshem Sheni, Kara Ephraim. He calls the second son Ephraim, Ki Hifrani Elokim Be'eretz Oniyeh, right? Because he made me fruitful. For God had made him fruitful in the land of his suffering. So two children, and each child is a reminder of the pain that he had gone through, that he had endured, and now he's dealing with his pain. Can you imagine 22 years running and not seeing your parents, not seeing your brothers, knowing that your brothers sold you into slavery? Can you imagine the baggage that he's carrying? Can you imagine how difficult that was for him? But somehow he's able to manage the pain and move beyond. This is such a powerful point. How many people that are watching this, or that you know, who should be watching this, who should be listening to this, are still stuck in the past, right? The beginning of the parasha talks about the dreamer who's living in a dream state, who's not even thinking about, he's just living in a reality that's not real. He's living in a fictitious reality. But what happens to those people that are living in a reality, but their reality is tethered to the past and the pain of their past, and they can't move beyond it? Joseph's teaching us a powerful lesson. You want to be successful, you need to let go. You got to wake up first, wake up from the dream state. Okay, it's different. The dreams that we talk about with Joseph and Paro, right, and the Pharaoh and Jacob. Jacob's dream is like this: V'yikatz Yakov mishnatav. Yakov wakes up. He wakes up from his dream. V'yomer achen yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. Is there a God in this place? And I didn't know. And he gets up and he does something. He's proactive. We don't live in dream states. Yes, we're entitled to dream away, but don't live in that reality. Live in the real world. What does the real world look like? Oh, Rabbi, the real world is too difficult. There's so much pain and suffering. How could you live in that world? And I get it. Yeah, it's painful. It's difficult. But anything, my friends, that is meaningful, anything in this world that has any real value requires effort on our parts. So Joseph lets go of the past. You want to live in reality? Let go of the pain. You can't control what happened. The only thing you can control is how you're going to respond to the pain that you're in. How are you going to choose to move forward? How are you going to choose to let go? So watch how this whole thing comes together. It's beautiful. Okay, so Parsha continues. And now we learn about the famine. We know that Paro's dreams were all about how Egypt would go through 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty, and 7 years of famine. The time has come to an end, and now the brothers are being drawn out. And they're coming down to Egypt, recognizing that their brother might be alive, and let's see if we could bring him back home. First of all, if you have not read Parshat Miketz, you are making a mistake. Get out a Chumash, get out a Torah scroll, get out a Bible, go to Chabad.org, or find a website that has the translation, and just read the text. It's so profound. It's so deep. Okay, so all the brothers are coming into Egypt, and they want to find Joseph. Okay, so what do? There's 12 separate entrances into Egypt, and each of the brothers, there's 10 brothers that come down. Each of the brothers take a different entrance. Okay, there's 10 entrances, not 12 entrances, because Benjamin wasn't there and Joseph wasn't there, so there's only 10 entrances. They come in, and Joseph he hears of this group of men who fit the bill of his brothers, and wants to go ahead and probe and poke and see what is going on. Okay, so the brothers come down to Egypt, and they come to Joseph. Okay, and Joseph starts asking them, where are you from? What are you doing here? How did you guys get here? How do you know each other? You're all related. Why did you come through separate entrances? You guys are just spies coming to spy out the land. You're liars. I can't trust you. How do I know you're telling the truth? They say, no, what do you mean? We're all from one family. We have one father, and he had 12 children, and here we are. So he's like, what do you mean 12 children? There are only 10 of you. Where are the rest of them? And he asked this on purpose, wanting to see if his brother Benjamin was alive. So he finally gets the word that yes, Benjamin is alive, because they stayed home. And he says to them, okay, great. You know what? If your brother is Benjamin alive, I want to know that what you're saying is true. I'm going to take Simon as a captive and leave him here. And if what you're saying is true, you'll bring your brother down to me. Now, Joseph knows a couple of things. Number one, he has a dream that his brothers, right, are going to bow down to him, right? He knows that his brothers are going to come down and recognize him as the king of, at that time, most of the known world. So he's setting this up. Now, let's pause for a minute, okay? The brothers deny Joseph his dreams. They deny his ability to rise up to the ranks and lead the family. They sell him into servitude. And here they are in Egypt watching this man, not knowing, by the way, that it was him. The question I know you're asking is, well, how do they not recognize him? And the answer is because the brothers were already older. They all had beards. Joseph did not have a beard. And at this point, he was still clean shaven and looked more like an Egyptian. And he was unable to be detected. He was painted up and looked like a total Egyptian. The brothers were still recognizable. He recognized them. They didn't recognize him. And also he didn't speak. He was a translator because he made believe he did not understand Hebrew. They were talking in Hebrew. They had a translator in between. So he kept himself anonymous the whole time. And he was acting very harsh with them. And the brothers are going through this back and forth. They don't know what to do with it. Right? Listen to this. They say, V'yomer ish el achiv. And each of the brothers said to the other, Ashemim anachnu. Right? We are guilty al achinu, on account of our brother Shereinu Sarat. Excuse me. Listen to this, ladies and gents, hang in there. This part's where it gets really good. V'yomer ish el achiv. And he said to the other, Shemim anachnu, we are guilty, al achinu, on account of our brother, asher ra'inu tzarat nafsho. We saw the anguish of his soul. B'itchanano aleinu, when he pleaded to us, v'lo shim'u. Can you imagine them reliving the sounds of Joseph saying, brothers, don't throw me away, don't sell me. They're haunted by those screams. And now they're feeling bad that all of this is unraveling in Egypt. This guy is being so harsh with them. Al ken ba'alenu hatzara zot. This great challenge has come to us as a result of our inaction when we saw our brother suffering. How could you allow your brother to suffer? Vayan Reuven, and Reuven answers, and he says to them, Lemor, Halo, Amarti Lechem, didn't I tell you? Al tichtub. Bayeled, don't sin against the boy. V'lo shamatim, but you didn't listen. V'gam damo hinei nidrash. And now his blood is being avenged. V'hem lo yadu, but they did not know. Ki shomea Yosef, that Joseph was listening. Ki himletz bet natam, right? Because he used an interpreter between them. V'yisov ma'aleim v'yivach, and now Joseph is watching his brothers, feeling this sense of regret, and he's crying. He can't. He's so emotional. He's seeing his brothers finally taking ownership and responsibility. You don't think when Joseph sees his brothers, all he wants to do is give them a hug? You think he's this mean guy who's just looking for vengeance? He forgave them already. We know that. He forgave them because of the names he gave his children. He moved on already. He made peace with the reality that he was in. And now he sees his brothers, but he knows he needs to give them the opportunity to do a full repentance for their actions, for their misdeeds. V'yisav ma'alehem v'yivach, and Joseph turns his head away and he cries. V'yeshev alehem v'yidaber alehem, and he returned to them and he spoke. V'yikach mi'itam et Shimon, he removes Shimon v'yaser oto alim, and he imprisons them before their eyes. V'yitzav Yosef, and he commands v'yimalu et kalehem, he commands them and that their vessels be filled with bar and grain, and they should go back. They should return their money, ish al sako, each person in their sack. He sends in the way with all these different money and whatnot. He doesn't want to take their money. He's trying to be playing a good cop, bad cop at the same time, and sends them away. Okay, the brothers open up their sacks and they find out that the money was returned, and they're bugging out. Like, oh my God, this is a disaster. Can you imagine walking into the store thinking that you paid and then opening the bag when you get home and finding that all the money you gave is back in the bag again? That's what happens over here. But Yomer El Achiv, they told his brothers, Hushav Kaspai, return, the money's been returned. V'gam hinei ba'am tachti, that's all my sack. V'yetze libam, and their hearts sank. V'yichudu ish el achiv, and they turned in trepidation to each of their brothers. Lemor mazot Elokim, what is God doing to us? Oh my Lord, they're terrified. And they come to their father Yakov and they tell him what's going on. Now Yaakov's an older man and he is unhappy about the results over here. He lost another son, Shimon. I understand. I sent you down to get some food. How did you guys mess this up? How did you mess it up? And they tell them about what happens, how they went in, how they tried to go ahead and pull everything together, and it doesn't work. Okay, but they got to bring up Benjamin up to Jerusalem, and so on and so forth. Now this is a very powerful one last piece over here, and we'll call it a day. And we'll tie the whole thing into Hanukkah. So so Reuben says, you know what? I'm going to take responsibility for bringing up Benjamin. Okay, and this is what he says. He says, "Vayomer Elohim Yakov." Yakov says to the children, right? He says, "Oti shikaltem." He's like, you've bereaved me, because Yosef enenu, he's gone. Shimon enenu, and Shimon is not here. Benyamin tikhu alai hayu kulana. He's like, you're not even take Benjamin. You want to take him away too? You don't take all of them. Yomer Reuven ela aviv. Reuven says to his father, Lemor, et shnei banai tamit. My two sons will be put to death. Im lo avienu elecha, if I don't bring back Benjamin. Tineoto al yadi v'ani yeshivenu elecha. Put him and trust him in my care, and I'm going to return him to you. Yomer lo yered bini imachem. Jacob says, no, my son's not going with you. So then Judah, Yomer love Judah, Yehuda, he says, Ha'ed ha'id banu ish lemor al tiru panai bilti achichem etchem. He says, Dad, send this kid with me, but you will not see my face if I don't return him. Right? I will be a sinner to you all my days. And then Judah concedes. So the question is, what's the difference between Reuben's plea versus Judah's plea? Reuben says, my children will be dead, but that's not Reuben taking responsibility. That's someone else. That's like my offspring dying. But Judah says, no, I'm taking responsibility. When we're in situations in life and you want to give someone a level of comfort, knowing that you're the responsible party, take full responsibility on yourself. That's how you build trust. This teaches you how to build trust. Don't put it on somebody else. Oh yeah, if I don't come through the deal, you can have my kids. That doesn't prove anything. That just tells me that you're a horrible father, right? And more that you can't be trusted. If you're willing to sell me your kids, I don't want you. But Judah says, no, I'm going to be a sinner to you all my days. I take full responsibility. And Jacob acquiesces. Okay, and he gives in. And the drama continues where finally Joseph is, meets Benjamin for the first time, and he's moved to tears as well. Very heart-wrenching parsha, and leads us into the next week's parsha where he's finally ready, spoiler alert, to reveal himself. Okay, and I don't want to do that. We'll do that next week, God willing. Now, what does this have to do with Hanukkah? Because Parshat Miketz is always read during the time of Hanukkah. And if I would tell you anything, I think that if I could point to one thing that has to do with this Parsha and Hanukkah, it has to do with responsibility and taking a sober look at where we are in life. Hanukkah always falls out in the darkest time of the year. It's gross outside today. It's cold. It gets dark really early. I'm feeling sluggish. I don't want to get out of bed, But Hanukkah is about lighting a little flame at a time of tremendous amount of darkness. It's a story about our ancestors who were watching Jews assimilate into Hellenism. They were watching Jews become Greeks. They were watching Jews leave their Jewish faith behind. They were watching their culture, their legacy be wiped out and destroyed. A small group of Jews, the Maccabees, a family of priests. These were not the big, strong warrior clan. This was the priest clan. And they go to war. For what? For our beliefs, for the things that matter, our core values. When our core values are under attack, there's no room to remain silent. We need to stand up and step up. We have to be willing to get up and fight for the things that we believe in. We can't allow other voices to drown us out. This is the time of the year that we're supposed to remember a couple of things. One, stop dreaming. Wake up. Every moment of life is precious. Every moment of life is like a candle, ready to explode with potential, ready to illuminate a world of darkness. That's the world that we're living in right now. This is our reality. We're living in the similar times. It's not that different. 2021 is like it was 2,100 years ago in Israel when the Greek Assyrian army pushed their way into Jerusalem, trying to impose their ideals and beliefs. Now, this is a very powerful idea. It says that the Greeks are called, the exile of the Greek exile is called choshech, it's called darkness. Now, what's interesting is that the Greeks, I wouldn't call them dark. I mean, they brought in Hellenism and these idea with the arts, and they brought in concepts that spoke about our philosophy and architecture and astronomy and astrology. There's so much that they did. Why is that all darkness? Now, this is very important. If you get this today, you just got a huge mind shift. Ready? You see, it's true that we're Jews living in America, but how much of our thinking is Jewish versus Western? How much of our values are already an expression of assimilation, right? You see, in Israel, during this time of Hanukkah, most of the Jews already had assimilated new ideas that were foreign to Judaism. And therefore, now when we talk about relationships, we talk about building family, we talk about our own identities, we talk about the ideas that, build our future, our core things that we believe in. They're no longer Jewish anymore. We've assimilated on some level into this country. When I read the Bible, I'm looking at it from a Westerner's eye. I'm not looking at it from an Israeli's eye. I'm not looking at it from a Jewish, solidly only Jewish person's eye. And therefore, you and I are in a unique position to ask several questions. Question number one, am I awake? Number two, have I let go of the ideas of the past? Number three, am I investing time in really trying to understand my real core values? What are they about? Am I really trying to find a deeper understanding of truth? Or am I just surrendering to whatever it is that I think that I know? Am I willing to push myself beyond the old notions of a childhood and thinking, well, that was my education and now I know everything? You see, to be alive means, to be awake means to take on challenge. To be awake means not being afraid of learning new things. To be awake means not doing the same thing and expecting different results. Now, once you are awake, once you're no longer tethered to the past, are you dreaming about a better version of yourself for the future? Or are you going to allow yourself to be sucked away into a world of unhappiness? Most of the world's unhappy. We've taken 2,000 years of everything the Greeks have given us, all their wisdom and all their philosophy, and the last 100 years of scientific breakthrough, everything that we know about the human mind and the psychology. How come people aren't happier? Why aren't people living in better relationships? Why are so many people unhappy with even the way they look, that they're willing to go through a surgery to completely change their face? We've created a world of superficiality. We call the Greek wisdom a wisdom of chitzoniut, of external wisdom, not pnimiut, not internal wisdom. We're not talking about real depth. We're talking about superficial, which is the country we live in. We use the words in a superficial way. Everything is disposable. But what are the real stuff? Now, it's easy to point fingers at the outside world, but what are we doing to take responsibility for ourselves? I don't care anymore about what the world says, what they do. They've proven to me that they've got it all wrong. I can't trust them. Okay, but can I trust myself? Am I really a fair arbitrator of truth when it comes to myself? Or do I just rest on my laurels and just kind of like take things as it goes? To be a Jew means to be alive, to be like a flame. We don't light big trees up with candles or lights that are flashing. We don't do that. You know what we do? We take a small little jug of oil, a little wick, and we light that. That is how you change the world. It's through the small things that we do, but they got to be consistent. How do we do it? Every day consistently. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, 7 lights, 8 lights consistently. You want to change the world of darkness? You want to change your past? You want to reimagine your future? How do you start, my friends? Small steps daily, every single day. Take a small step and move in the right direction, and you will find yourself with all the blessings you could possibly imagine. Stop overwhelming yourself with everything that was. Forget about what the world around you is telling you, okay? Just do what you got to do right now. Where do you start? Well, ask yourself, okay? Ask yourself, where do you want to be in 10 years from now? Where do you want to go in 5 years from now? What do you want the future you to look like? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to have children? Do you want to be a communal giver? Do you want to be someone who is volunteering? Do you want to be someone who's teaching, reading, whatever it is that you could imagine? If you're not there right now, that's fine. Take it step by step, ferociously, as Jeff Bezos says, right? Step by step, ferociously. Thank you, Daniel, you above, for that, right? It's true. But that's the message of Hanukkah. Hanukkah wasn't Jews winning the war instantaneously. It took us 7 years to win the war. And then we just celebrate the war being won, this special miracle of the lights. This is the last miracle that happens to us as a nation. Thing that when we talk about miracles, Jews are not talking about miracles all the time. They're the miracles of the Bible. The last miracle that we talk about is this particular miracle. There have been no open miracles since Hanukkah. 2,100 years ago was the last miracle that we as a nation have experienced. Now, I will tell you that there's a modern miracle that we're currently living through. It's called the land of Israel. The fact that you and I can get up on a plane, even with the Omicron variant, we can still get into the land of Israel. The land of Israel is still, flourishing and growing and developing, which makes absolutely no sense. How do you have a country with zero resources, a population that make up less than 0.25% of planet Earth, turn a desert into an oasis, who have taken technology and have reimagined what the future will look like? Okay, that comes from a group of people who were Holocaust survivors. They came to Israel with nothing, bones. Okay, skinny, emaciated people. There were nothing there. They had nothing. We have so much. We're so comfortable. We got books, we got chairs, we got heat, we got air conditioning, we got clothing, we got food, we got bottled water wherever we go. We got everything, right? And these people, they built a whole entire country out of nothing. How does that happen? It happened because they were awake. They were alive, okay? They were people who dreamt. They were people who never gave up. That is the message of Hanukkah. Hanukkah's message, my friends, is that we never give up. When our values are at risk, we stand up, we take to arms, and we fight. We can't fight. You know how come people don't fight? People don't fight because it's not clear them what to fight for. They're either sleeping or they're stuck to the past. They're in pain. They can't let go of the past, but they're not living in the present. They're not living in the present. How do you wake somebody up? You got to let go of the past, or you got to start dreaming about a beautiful future. You can't do anything if you're stuck. I get overwhelmed step by step. Each night, one flame. Keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, and never give up no matter what the situation is. I don't care how difficult it is. I don't care how challenging the challenge is. I'm teaching you a very profound lesson right now. My family motto, ask any of my kids, what's our family motto? That Ibragimovs never give up. My daughter, my 5-year-old daughter will say, we never give up. We never give up. Because that is what it means to be a Jew. To be a Jew means I never give up. Yosef lets go of his pain. He moves on and he becomes the viceroy. He sees his brother. He's dealing with it. It's so painful. Matilde recognizes the suffering of his people, assimilating, losing their values, but willing to stand up for what he believes. You know why? Because he was living, alive, clarity of vision, goals, my friends, step by step. And you too will be a beautiful flame, part of the long chain of our beautiful history, remembered for your heroism. Never give up, no matter how dark. Our sages say, mitoch hachoshech va'arafel, it's from the darkness and the mist, ba'ha'or, the light is able to emerge. It's okay that we're going through dark times, because God sets up a reality that's through the darkness that we go through in life, that we have the power of bringing the power of beauty, clarity, and light. Wishing you a Hanukkah Sameach, a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you either on Sunday night at the UN Grill or on next Wednesday for our coffee talk. We're talking about suffering. Please join us here in person. And if you're Marie, I will send you the link. This time I won't forget. Have a great day. Have a great day, everybody. Happy holiday and Shabbat Shalom.